he would have lost if Riley didn't attack.
Yeah, he attacked, triggered the berry, and healed the Snorlax up to more health on the last turn of the game. If he had just protected his Magma Zone to make sure there was no return, extra damage, and hadn't triggered that berry, he would have won that game.
Anyways, Kyle Hudson now with the Celesteela, with the Marowak, with the Ninetales, Gastrodon on top of Coco and the Gyarados. Patrick, of course, we just saw him a bit earlier. The keys to the game, probably that Gastrodon and that Marowak. Not sure if Kyle actually knows what Patrick has on that Snorlax, but you don't want to have Snorlax just come in and, yeah, you just don't want him to come in and just ruin your fun.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if he brings the Gastrodon, because other than that clear smog to handle Snorlax, it really isn't very useful.
I guess it walls Arcanine.
Walls Arcanine, but Arcanine has Snarl and kind of will keep Gastrodon from hitting you either. And so yeah, it doesn't really provide much use. I mean, it can switch into electric attacks from Tapu Koko, but isn't threatening much damage back.
All right, here we go. All right, Marowak and Ninetales for Kyle.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen Kyle lead something other than Gyarados.
Gyarados and Ninetales, yeah. Celesteela and Arcanine, no Snorlax yet. I don't think Patrick's actually going to decide to bring Snorlax. I think he realizes, all right, there's a Ghost type on the other side of the field. It's really risky for me to bring that.
Yeah. Even though it was so potent in the other match, we did see the kind of reticent to bring it. He didn't bring it game one, despite it being so useful and on paper better in the matchup than in this matchup. So wouldn't be surprised to see him at least not bring it in game one again in this match.
Yeah, one Pokemon that actually has a really good matchup right now against the leads on Patrick's side, Gyarados. And
it's not there.
It's not there.
Yeah, it would have had an easy time setting up. It would have been worried about Will-O-Wisp maybe, like it was against the
Marowak
from Matthew. And I'm not sure that Kyle would necessarily see that coming. Will-O-Wisp, less frequent move on Arcanine, so could have walked into that. Instead, he has this Marowak in, probably an Aurora Veil coming up, though that is likely to lose you your Ninetales. Between Heavy Slam and Flamethrower or Snarl as options to break the sash.
Yep, Gyarados comes in though. It's going to come in relatively free, barring a possible Will-O-Wisp from the support Arcanine that Patrick really enjoys using. Celesteela can possibly get up some Leech Seeds if it really wants to, but maybe not. Arcanine goes for a Snarl, going to be super effective on the Marowak, going to drop some special attack stats, but that's irrelevant.
Yeah,
these are physical attackers out here. And Celesteela using this turn to set up a substitute. Okay, alright. Alright, let's play the Celesteela endgame here. Marowak goes for a Shadow Bone, going to try to hit the Celesteela, not going to take recoil damage, which is really nice, as it breaks the sub.
Yeah, so I don't know if he expected that sub, but that's a very good time to Shadow Bone, not take that extra recoil, especially with Hail and Snarl adding little bits of damage. Suddenly your Marowak can look very vulnerable. The Snarl was good there because it is that good damage on Marowak since it is super effective and that is a special Arcanine. And it also would have broken Ninetales' Sash and weakened the damage Ninetales did. Instead, Gyarados comes in and doesn't mind the Snarl as much. Now we'll have to see if does Kyle have any idea that Will-O-Wisp is an option for Patrick, or will he get his Gyarados burnt right here, which would be very bad for him if he Dragon Dances right as he gets burnt. Gyarados could still be useful in that situation, but even after the Dragon Dance, it'll be weaker than it entered the game at.
Well, to be fair, the Snarl hasn't revealed, and maybe Kyle's done a little bit of research, knowing that this is a support Arcanine that could possibly burn my Gyarados. Don't want to stay in. Celesteela switching out.
Just Hydro Vortex it immediately.
Well, it depends on who's faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Gyarados just going to go for a Dragon Dance here. This could be pretty big if Arcanine misses the possible Willows here. All right, yeah, Arcanine goes for a Willows. It is going to connect on that Gyarados, and that's going to get a burn. One more Dragon Dance, and that'll negate it, but at the same time, that's 2 turns of setup right there just to bypass a burn that you could have just straight up gone to pick up the KO on. And the Boomerang comes out, hits the Arcanine, 2 hits, bringing it down to about 30%.
Kyle learned 2 very important pieces of information in that turn, though. He learned that his Gyarados is faster than the Arcanine, so Hydro Vortex for the KO to prevent burn is an option. The same way it could have been against Matthew, though Matthew kept using Intimidates to prevent that. He also learned that the Will-O-Wisp is there. That he learned in a way that is not very good for him, because he ended up with a burnt Gyarados, but just like after Game 1 against Matthew yesterday, he's not going to let that happen again. Now that he knows that Will-O-Wisp can come out, he's going to be more defensive with his Gyarados, either going for this quick KO on Arcanine or not leaving it on the field when that's an option.
Yeah, and we know that the Arcanine has the Mago Berry, from before, you know, support Arcanine, just get back as much health as possible, doesn't activate because it's not there yet. Just barely on the edge of activating, so that's...
But it could protect, get hail damage, and activate that berry. It's a pretty good 50% recovery protect option.
That's always a good option right there, right, Len? Celesteela going to come in now, going to replace the Arcanine. Doesn't want it to get KO'd. Hydro Vortex is still an issue because you go bypass that protect from that Arcanine. As Gyarados decides to go for another Dragon Dance here, so now its damage output is the exact same. The speed has been boosted. Marowak protects itself, so it's not going to get KO'd by that Garchomp. Alright, so this Gyarados trying to slowly get set up, but this is a lot of residual chip damage on it.
Yeah, it is. Between the burn and his own hail, damage is mounting up. We have seen that Patrick's Garchomp is Fire Fang and Earthquake. That lost him a game. I mean, not necessarily lost him, but was detrimental to him that he couldn't ever damage a Gyarados in the last match. It's going to be a problem again now. He's like relying on Leech Seed as his best damage output on the field right now towards this Gyarados. And so, even though Gyarados is burnt, the two Dragon Dances have evened out that burn and still made it very fast. And he could continue to Dragon Dance, hoping to get enough damage to go for the KO on Celesteela, knowing that he's not under much threat. If he knows he's not under much threat.
Marowak forced to switch out, does not want to sacrifice Marowak just yet. Gonna go into the Ninetales here as Gyarados goes for an Ice Fang onto that Garchomp, doing enough to... No, not enough to pick up the KO. Garchomp's Rough Skin gonna chip away at the Gyarados, bringing it down to less than 50% as Garchomp goes now for a Tectonic Rage.
Yeah, that's gonna hit Ninetales clearly.
Sash.
And Ninetales will survive at Sash. I'm not sure when Hail's expiring. Garchomp will go down to if it's this turn, if it gets hit this turn. But if Hail expires this turn, Ninetales may have just switched into on the last turn when that damage could
I think this might be the last turn of Hail.
Yeah.
I think you're right. This might be the last turn of Hail, and Garchomp might hang on. Ninetales hangs on with 1 hit point thanks to that Focus Sash, and Celesteela goes for a Leech Seed here. Gyarados dodges it, so... Oh, never mind.
Oh, one more turn of Hail.
Sorry.
All right.
All right.
That's going to be very good for Kyle. It means that Garchomp will go down. Doesn't have to devote another attack to it. Doesn't have to worry about another Rough Skin. Even though Ninetales was there, it would have been a pretty easy Blizzard KO, along with maybe a Hydro Vortex towards Celesteela. Wouldn't have been such a bad thing to have to do.
Yeah, and this is Gyarados' I mean, it's set up. It has one more option to... Or, doesn't have one more option, but it still has the option to go for its Hydro Vortex.
Yeah, that hasn't been used yet. Could be valuable damage against Celesteela, even unboosted. Wouldn't be surprised if, like, Blizzard plus Hydro Vortex is the KO. It's also benefiting from that Leech Seed having missed. Otherwise, Celesteela would be looking a little more healthy, maybe less likely to get that KO, and that chip damage, all of these residual pieces of damage on Gyarados would be mounting up, so that I think Gyarados would only have one more turn left. Instead, Gyarados has still got a few left, other than taking a Thunderbolt, which would end it very quickly.
Yeah, but Gyarados has 2 Dragon Dances, which means that it will be outspeeding this Tapu Koko, barring it being a Choice Scarf Tapu Koko.
Will be outspeeding, but not KOing this Tapu Koko, because it has no attack boost.
Well, if you go for the Hydro Vortex into that slot, though.
If you go to the go for the Hydro Vortex, it'll probably be dependent on how the 2 Pokemon are trained, whether or not you get that KO. But if you miss that KO and Tapu Koko Dazzling Gleams, probably the KO on both Pokemon after the residual damage comes in. So it would be a very risky maneuver.
You think? I think it's gonna happen. I think you got to get rid of this Tapu Koko. Oh, of course, Marowak can come back in. Best friends. But Tapu Koko just protects instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to respect that Marowak switch in because of Lightning Rod. Celesteela also protecting here. Gonna, I guess, wait out the Hail and wait for Gyarados to take a little bit more chip damage and see exactly what Marowak decides to do. So now we have the Hydro Vortex coming out. It's going to be reduced because of all the protects happening, but if it hits Tapu Koko, that puts Tapu Koko in range of the Waterfall, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's got it. Like, Hydro Vortex is so powerful. Oh, man. Alright.
I also don't think that the Lightning Rod is very relevant anymore. Gyarados has taken so much residual damage that Dazzling Gleam will be enough. Especially since Gyarados is faster, you're not trying to KO it before it moves, so you're content with the burn KOing at the end of the turn, or maybe a Leech Seed KOing it at the end of the turn. So, wouldn't be surprised if Tapu Koko just goes for that Dazzling Gleam. But Celesteela does have to be worried about a Marowak Flare Blitz. You don't want to lose that very healthy Celesteela so easily.
I just really respect Gyarados as a physical attacker, and that's why I had so much faith that it could do a lot of more damage. But that Arcanine burn from a while ago.
Yeah, it looks like the Hydro Vortex would have been very close to a KO. That's about 25% done through Protect, and that's what the reduction is. It's 25% of the power when you're hitting through Protect, and so would have been very close to a KO if Tapu Koko had not protected. Instead, wisely protects, burns the Z move on Kyle's side, and is much less vulnerable.
Gyarados goes for a waterfall here. Where there's a waterfall, there's a way you could possibly switch it. Oh,
critical
hit. That was a close. I'm pretty sure that mattered.
Yeah, I think so.
But Celesteela using this turn to go for a substitute here. Marowak, of course, can just break that with a Shadow Bone. Yep, just going to go ahead and break that substitute. Celesteela trying to get set up, but unfortunate.
Yeah, but very unfortunate for Patrick there that
the critical hit.
That he got the critical hit. 'Cause otherwise, I think he would have picked up KO on Gyarados this turn after the burn damage came in and would have chipped that Marowak a little bit more, which has already taken so much chip damage. Meanwhile, Celesteela, while it is just setting up subs and losing them, is staying at decent health doing so, despite sitting across from a Marowak so much of this game.
Yeah. So Arcanine comes in, gonna drop another Intimidate onto these Pokemon. Gonna force some switches, maybe if Kyle wants to preserve their attack stats. In the back is still that heavily damaged Alolan Ninetales. I don't think it's gonna be really doing much. I mean, I guess you could go for some Blizzards against that Celesteela.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gyarados can at least try a Waterfall against Arcanine and Flare Blitz towards Celesteela. One of them has to stick, right? Either if Celesteela goes for the KO on Gyarados to prevent it from eventually KOing Arcanine, then
you get offered the...
then you get the Flare Blitz off.
Yeah.
And if they sub to stop the Flare Blitz, you get the Waterfall next turn, because I don't believe this has extreme speed on it to stop the Waterfall.
Right, it's a special supportive Arcanine. Celesteela goes for a substitute, gonna try to hide behind it, but Marowak continues to just exert pressure, going for those Shadow Bones, gonna keep breaking those subs, so now it's just gonna be Gyarados going for the Waterfall to pick up the KO, and Marowak being able to pick up the KO and Celesteela at some point during this battle of attrition.
Right, this battle of attrition, eventually Ninetales comes in, hits before the substitute, and Celesteela's been losing so much health, I don't even think it could set up another substitute if it took a Blizzard, and so, since it would be a full-strength Blizzard. And so this game is well in hand. Might not be a 4-0, but should end pretty soon in Kyle's favor. But I do think that Waterfall critical hit on Tapu Koko was game-changing.
Yep, that was game-changing.
It looks like a game that Kyle's winning pretty handily, but I think it could have swung very quickly had Tapu Koko still been around and had KO'd this Gyarados before it could do so much damage to these other Pokemon.
Yep, Celesteela now going for the lead seat onto that Gyarados. Gyarados is going to get knocked out very soon anyways. The Shadow Bone hits the Celesteela, not enough to pick up the KO just yet. This allows Celesteela to kill back.
One other thing to mention, like 8 turns ago or something, Leech Seed was missed by Celesteela onto Gyarados. Both Pokemon have been on the field the entire time since then. That would have been a lot of HP exchange from Gyarados to Celesteela had it hit.
Yep, so things just aren't going for Patrick's way as Gyarados hurt by the burn and, well, hang on with just 3 hit points.
And I'm pointing these things out because I think it means Patrick doesn't need to overreact to losing this game 4-0.
Yep.
He could easily have won it if a few things had gone differently. I think he took the right approach to stopping this Gyarados. It just didn't work out. The problem for Patrick may be that the Will-O-Wisp came very easily this game. It will not come easily in games 2 and 3, and so he lost the one where he revealed Will-O-Wisp. Now he's got to win 2 where his opponent already knows about Will-O-Wisp.
Yep, Tapu Koko comes in now as Celesteela protects, pretty much sealing the deal here.
Yeah, one player protecting to try to get a 4-0, or to prevent the 4-0, and the other switching to protect the 4-0.
Yeah, I don't think we saw Tapu Koko hit the field just yet, did we? So that's actually information that Kyle reveals to Patrick in terms of what my squad of 4 that I thought best combat your squad would be.
Yeah.
I always think that going into future games, you want to try to preserve as much information as possible. If you win and you don't have to reveal a Pokemon, don't reveal that Pokemon, because now your opponent has to try to adjust for something blind in the back.
Yeah.
But now, Patrick got a lot of information from that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just being paranoid.
It's a little bit of paranoia, but...
well, that's just me, then.
So yeah, we'll move on to game 2. See if Patrick can make some adjustments to handle this Gyarados.
You're right, though. I think Patrick had the parts, right? It's just a little bit of an unfortunate event. The Gyarados sticking around for a bit longer.
Yeah.
Was the key. The leech seed, you know. Actually, yeah, the leech seed.
The leech seed, I think, was the most important thing, because otherwise Celesteela would have been very difficult to KO. Gyarados might have been forced to switch, despite having 2 Dragon Dances, if that leech seed had hit.
And then Gyarados had to come back in burned without any boost, so... Oh boy. Alright, here we go. Kyle Hudson, 1 more win, and he moves on to the finals here. Patrick Smith needs to win 2. Kyle Hudson, he was... I don't actually know if he's had any accomplishments before this. He's a known SoCal player. Here he is in Salt Lake City, 1 game away from eliminating Northern California.
Yeah. Well, NorCal just eliminated Riley, so maybe some revenge.
Yep, alright. Oh, Marowak and Ninetales are the leads that Kyle decides to go with, and Arcanine and Mimikyu are the leads that Patrick decides to go with here. Same leads for Kyle. Patrick kind of changing up a little bit with that little Trick Room option.
Yeah, bringing Mimikyu that he didn't have last game. You know, maybe two ways out. If you can't get the Will-O-Wisp off, do get the Trick Room up, and then you can deal with the Gyarados within that, especially if Snorlax is in the back. Kyle showing that he likes to pick what his leads are, what he thinks is most effective, and stick with them, especially when he wins the games. Marowak here, not in a kind of neutral position. After the Intimidate, not a giant threat to Arcanine, would have to break the Disguise to be a threat to Mimikyu, and doesn't want to take a Shadow Claw back, but likewise would not be KO'd by that, especially after this Intimidate from Gyarados.
Yeah. Ninetales is going to switch out, going to go into Gyarados, get the Intimidate off onto that Mimikyu. Arcanine goes for a Flamethrower in what was that Ninetales slot. Gyarados takes that a lot better. There's a chance for a burn. There is no burn, as Marowak gets to go for a Bone Ring at 1 stage of decreased attack. That's a lot of damage still. Gonna bring Arcanine down to about 40%, and the Hail won't even put it in range, as Mimikyu does get to go for the Trick Room, which is... Marowak's the slowest thing on the field.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's interesting to Trick Room when you're putting an offensive Marowak as the new fastest thing. Probably means Snorlax is in the back, but Snorlax can't actually deal with Marowak itself. We've seen its entire moveset. The only offensive move is Return, and obviously you can't hit a Ghost type with Return.
But the question now comes, do you stay in with him? You don't stay in with the Marowak. You got to switch it out, because that Mimikyu can threaten it.
Mimikyu can threaten it. I think you can protect it, and your Gyarados is not so badly threatened, just Will-O-Wisp, and maybe try to break the Disguise, and then you're threatening the Mimikyu instead of it threatening you.
Yeah, Marowak's going to protect here. You're right. Good call, Len. Snorlax coming in. We know that it cannot touch that Marowak, as Mimikyu tries to pick up the KO on that on the Marowak. Alright, Snorlax breaks the Disguise.
Yeah, I think that's...
no, Gyarados breaks the Disguise.
Yeah, Gyarados breaks the Disguise. I think that's a good play. Means this Mimikyu is much more vulnerable. You don't really want to start attacking Snorlax with Marowak. The only way to do that would be Flare Blitz, and you're going to take a lot of damage too if you do that.
Yeah.
Since it can't hurt you, don't start hurting yourself for it. And so instead, being able to attack Mimikyu and preventing Shadow Claw from landing is good. This Gyarados, one option, interesting, even though you're in Trick Room, one option is to start Dragon Dancing. If you think you're going to need that offense to break the stockpiles that are likely to start coming up, you don't have so many more turns of Trick Room that you couldn't begin the process of boosting your attack and speed and being ready for, once the Trick Room expires, to blow up the Snorlax and keep moving through other Pokemon like the Arcanine and whatever 4th mystery Pokemon there is.
Yeah, alright. Mimikyu now going to retreat. This actually opens up... Well, probably expecting Marowak to switch and not get KO'd. Because I'm not sure if a Shadow Bone would actually be able to pick up the KO from Mimikyu at that spot with the Intimidate from earlier.
Yeah, with that, definitely the Intimidate would have been a problem, but Arcanine's still going to take decent damage from this.
Yep, Snorlax goes for a Belly Drum here, going to be able to set up its attack stat, and I believe it's going to have 2 more turns of Trick Room to abuse its increased attack. Oh boy, this Snorlax ready to go a lot faster than before. Marowak actually stays in. Goes for a Shadow Bone, going to hit Arcanine and pick up the KO. Fortunate for Kyle that it didn't hang on and activate the berry, as now Gyarados gets to go for the Waterfall on Snorlax. Why do I keep thinking Gyarados is Snorlax?
I don't know. They look very different. Yeah, I think it probably would have picked up the KO on Mimikyu. Definitely picks up the KO on that very low health Arcanine, despite being at -2 attack. You can see the wild offensive difference between this.
I'm used to Matthew Reeves' Marowak, that's right. Garchomp coming in now. Yeah, alright, Garchomp coming in. Mimikyu still in the back with the disguise busted. Alola Ninetales still hiding in the back for Kyle's side as well.
Yeah, these speed matchups are very interesting. Snorlax is the fastest thing right now, but can't touch the Marowak, despite being at +6 attack. Marowak, though, does not have nearly the damage output to KO the Garchomp, and so even though it is the slowest thing on the field because of Trick Room, is still a big threat to this Marowak. Gyarados has been intimidated and hasn't Dragon Dance to get any boosts, and so an Ice Fang isn't a big threat to Garchomp. Maybe Shadow Bone plus Ice Fang is a KO, but even that I don't think would be a KO.
Snorlax is probably just going to try to pick up the KO on that Gyarados anyways.
Right.
It's kind of a pin that Patrick has created. Tapu Koko going to come in here. Ooh. Oh, okay. If it's a Tectonic Rage, Tapu Koko might just get flat out KO'd. Snorlax using its turn instead to set up, going for Recycle here, but Gyarados stays in. No protects from Gyarados either, so Gyarados using the turn to set up a Dragon Dance here.
Nice. Manages to slip a Dragon Dance in a very precarious position with +6 Snorlax on the opposite side, but Snorlax needs to survive throughout this game, and so getting the Recycle to make sure it doesn't go down quickly is going to be important for Patrick, and so he prioritizes that over attacking a Gyarados when there's a good chance it would just end up attacking to protect as Trick Room expired.
How many turns does Trick Room left?
I think
one more, so just protect this turn and install out the Trick Room. Yeah. Alright, well, that leaves options for Koko and Gyarados to be able to deal with the Garchomp. But again, that's Snorlax just sitting pretty +6, ready to go with a berry.
With a berry back, and could sneak a stockpile in here if you're pretty confident the double protect is what's coming. Might not even be bad to go for the Tectonic Rage, even expecting the protect against Tapu Koko, and do a significant amount of damage to it. And with Hail Chip, you might get a KO eventually.
Yep, Tapu Koko protects itself, and Gyarados also protects here, so now it is up to Patrick to kind of take advantage of this turn here. Snorlax goes for a return, no trying to sneak in a stockpile, as Garchomp does go for the Tectonic Rage here. You're right, it's probably going to try to chip away at this Tapu Koko.
Yeah, should be pretty decent damage. Ninetales is still alive in the back. I'm not sure quite how much it'll do, but could become relevant at some point.
Even then, it's at 2 stages of increased attack, so it's not going to KO, but it's going to do a lot still, I think. Oh,
it does just KO.
Yep. All right. So, well, Ninetales can easily just come back in and go for some blizzards.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So Ninetales and Marowak are in the back.
This is the perfect time for Ninetales to come in. Can Blizzard and use the Z water, the Hydro Vortex onto the Snorlax. The Blizzard will activate the berry, kind of unfortunately, but you have to do that to handle the Garchomp. But because of the Dragon Dance, that's a lot of attack, and Snorlax hasn't stockpiled yet. It could be a good opportunity to, if not pick up the KO on Snorlax, but do a significant amount of damage to it.
It is still so it's actually neutral Gyarados because of the Intimidate. But Hydro Vortex does do a lot of damage because Gyarados is a very good attacker, and I believe in Gyarados.
You also can't, like, even if you miss Garchomp protects and you miss the KO on Snorlax, the best thing Snorlax can probably do in return is KO Gyarados, but that means Ninetales is still at full health with Sash up against this Garchomp that eventually will just have to go down.
Yeah. Garchomp protects, not going to want to get KO just yet. Gyarados now going to go ahead and activate the Waterium Z.
Right, and because of the Dragon Dance, it does move before the Blizzard, so maybe he picks up the KO here before even having to activate the berry.
Yeah, and Snorlax's physical defense is actually less than its special defense. So it's going to be close. No stockpiles on the Snorlax. Is Kyle going to be able to just KO the Snorlax outright with this Hydro Vortex? At 0 stages of increased attack, Snorlax hangs on and heals back up thanks to that recycled Figgy Berry from earlier. Ninetales goes for a Blizzard here. Going to connect onto Snorlax. Garchomp protected earlier. Could also fish for some freezes here. Snorlax goes down to less than 50% as Snorlax goes for a return. Going to pick up the KO on the Gyarados here with that massive attack stat.
Yeah, easily picks up the KO there. But still, this Garchomp is in against Ninetales, and that Sash is unbroken. I don't think things are too bad for Kyle yet.
Yeah.
Snorlax is below 50% with no berry. It's very vulnerable to Flare Blitz KO. I think Blizzard plus Flare Blitz would be the KO. Both attacks will move before Snorlax. Blizzard is the KO on Garchomp. In addition, and so you've got the setup for both KOs before either Pokemon can move.
Good positioning from Kyle here, and he looks like he's trying to move into position to seal the deal here in Game 2 of the top 4 at Salt Lake City. Mimikyu going to come in, going to preserve Garchomp for a little bit later, as now Ninetales goes for a Blizzard, going to connect onto Mimikyu and Snorlax, and oh, that did a lot of damage to that Mimikyu, thanks to that critical hit, as Marowak goes for a Flare Blitz, connecting onto that Snorlax here. The big wall is gone, no longer blocking that route in red, blue, yellow. It's removed.
Yeah, I don't think the critical hit on Mimikyu really mattered.
No.
It's kind of all alone out here. The next Blizzard wouldn't have KO'd, and it could have maybe KO'd Marowak, but 2 Blizzards would have KO'd it, and Ninetales can just keep firing them off. There's no way for Mimikyu to pull Ninetales off the field because the focus sash that is still intact.
Yep, good
And
positioning
so,
from Kyle.
2 Blizzards win in this game either way.
All right, looks like Kyle Hudson gonna go to the promised land, go to the finals here.
I think it's really interesting. This is the 8th game we've watched Kyle play. Ninetales has been brought to all of them, and this is the first time its offense has really been useful. It's freeze-dried a couple times and done some damage, but this end game was all about that Blizzard damage racking up, and it's because he saved it to the end of the game in a very different style than he normally uses it. I thought it was well played.
Yeah, all right.